So, second session, as I said to you, is your questions rather. And we've had so many questions come in. So I think it's better that I actually read them out from here as opposed to ask you to ask them and the time it takes to actually then answer the question. We've got a range of topics that have been covered, many to do with the current Labour MP, West Streeting. I think that's very important that we answer those questions. And again, the format's going to be very, very similar, a minute to answer. And I think they've done really well to, be concise in their minute answers. We're looking to have this session for about 30 minutes. If we feel we've covered most of them, then I may cut it short because we've also got the final statement. So I don't want you all to feel tired. You've been a great audience so far. So my first question then, if you're ready. You're ready? Feeling good? Okay, good. So we'll start off with you, Noor Jahan. And my question to all three of you is this. West Streeting has one of the most effective campaign teams in the country. How do you plan to mobilize, invigorate, and inspire the community to devote their time for your campaign and ultimately to vote for you? Noor Jahan.
This is a really important question.
Sorry, can I just check the mic? Just flip it. That's right. That's
okay. Thank you very much. This is a really important question. Yes, as Maz has said, the Labour machine will be behind West Streeting. One of the really amazing things about this particular group and this movement is that this is a grassroots, long-term movement. People are willingly volunteering, giving their time. As a movement, we will be offering support, training, campaigning. The whole impetus behind this is to inspire and motivate people. The events in the Middle East, what's happening in the local borough, the inequality gap, all of these things are motivating people to come forward, people from all backgrounds to work on this campaign. I'm really confident that I will be able to motivate and inspire people. I've worked on civic leadership programs before. When we look at our differences, when we look at our views, yes, we may agree to disagree, but actually in reality we have shared values. We all want to be safe. We all want to live in a place that we're proud of. We all want to have housing. We all want our children to do well. We want a good education system. We want choice. We want control. We want support for the most vulnerable in the community.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Leanne, to you.
I have someone who's been campaigning since I was 15 years old, and I have extensive experience when it comes to campaigns, when it comes to running in elections, and when it comes to winning elections and supporting winning elections as well. And I am someone who will utilise my networks that I've built over the years since I was 15. I am someone who's well positioned to win not only on a local level, but on a national level as well. And this includes from support from independent MPs, from faith groups, from advocacy groups, from anti-war groups, from Jeremy Corbyn's Peace and Justice Project, from NGOs, and from so many people up and down the country. I've built these relationships. I know how to sustain them. I'm someone who wants my vision to be a shared vision between all of us, and that is how people will jump onto my campaign and support it, and it will continuously spread throughout the community because I'm someone who wants this to be an inspirational campaign for all of us. Social media plays a huge tool in this day and age, and no doubt it will be pivotal in the upcoming campaign, and we will see that through the general election. Wes will use it to his advantage, but we will use it 10 times higher, and it will be a campaign that will be very powerful and successful. I'm someone who's garnered mass local, national, and international support on my social media platforms, and I will use that to amplify your voices and essentially win the campaign.
Thank you.
I think it's quite a simple message. This is about the community, this is about us, and this is about your thoughts and your views. West Streeting does not represent Ilford North. He represents, I don't know who he represents, to be honest. But it's certainly not Ilford North. Right, so I think half the battle is done. We have people who are dissatisfied with our MP, and I am confident that we will get a whole series of volunteers. We will be able to go door to door. We will ask people what their priorities are, and people will trust us because they want an MP that represents them. They do not want an MP that represents someone else. So I am confident that despite the Labour Party machine bringing someone in from wherever they're going to bring it in to knock on your door. If we have a local, okay, that knows Ilford North, knows how the residents think, knocking on their door, I am quite confident that they'll listen to that local as opposed to someone from the Labour Party brought from somewhere else. So I'm confident. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've got a question here on immigration, but I'm going to put a slightly different slant to it, to the one that was asked. First of all, can you tell us, starting with you, Leanne, what are your views on immigration? Whilst we know most of us perhaps have migrant backgrounds, the fact is that many migrants, long-term migrants, actually voted for Brexit because of their concerns over immigration. We know the Home Office have recently announced that they are putting the threshold up for spousal applications. We also know for skilled worker migrants, that threshold is going to nearly £40,000. Can you tell us what your view on a range of all these immigration matters are?
As someone who comes from a Palestinian refugee background, this issue is particularly important to me when it comes to migrants, when it comes to refugees, and when it comes to immigrants as well. And that is why I am someone who will advocate for compassionate immigration policies for all of us. Because refugees are not criminals, migrants are not criminals. They are people that shape our communities, they are people that shape our societies, they are people who shape our very own NHS that they are trying to privatise today. And without them, the NHS wouldn't be in the same state it is in today. And so I am someone who will advocate for compassionate policies in everything that I do. When it comes to immigration, it is so important that we support refugees, we support migrants in our community, and I will advocate for policies that do exactly that.
Unfortunately, what we've seen from the Conservative Party is a campaign which is based on hatred. On the very first day of this year, the first thing that they put on Twitter was a message from the Home Office saying that we're delivering for the British people, as in they are stopping spouses and families of students coming into this country. That is such a negative thing to say, such a negative image to portray, and also it puts makes Britain less competitive when it comes to universities. So I totally disagree with the vision of the Conservative Party when it comes to immigrants being a problem. They are not a problem. When it comes to the issues that they mentioned, such as illegal migration, when it comes to the issue of the small boats, in inverted commas, as Rishi Sunak kindly likes to tell us, let's look at the real problem of why we have those small boats, because there's no legal means for people to come into this country. So I will campaign for legal means for people to come into this country. I will campaign that we stop causing issues in other countries that make things worse. Please. So that's the way that I think that we need to deal with it.
This is a real issue for our community and many other places in London and nationally. Where do I stand? Well, I'm against this hostile environment. It's not compassionate, it's not British. My parents came here in the 1960s and they helped to build Britain up. We live in Redbridge, which is a diverse and vibrant borough. 2/3 of the population are actually from Black, Asian, minority communities. We contribute to the economy. We are an essential part of this community. I believe in supporting students. I believe in supporting workers. We have to balance the need of the economy. We have a recruitment and retention problem, especially in the NHS and elsewhere. In most sectors, we need people. So I will be lobbying government for extending opportunities for people to come and work here, study here. Our universities need students. We need workers, especially in health and social care, which is my day job. I will be looking to a compassionate asylum system, and about the small boats. Well, actually, maybe we should be looking at our foreign policy and fighting injustice internationally.
Thank you. So my next question is, what are the candidates' views on the Equality Act 2010 and the competing interests you will face as a Member of Parliament between those who will campaign for their protected characteristics and many in the community that are very, very concerned about SRE and the issues related to that? I think it comes back to you.
Okay. I know from talking to residents locally in my various guises that this is a very big issue. Now, with SRE, for example, parents have the right to opt out on religious and other grounds. We need to make sure that teachers, schools, and parents are working together. We need to support and enable people to become counsellors, become school governors so that they can influence change. In terms of equalities, we live in the UK. We have to abide by UK legislation. And I'm for supporting all groups, irrespective of our religious views or otherwise. I believe that sex education, for example, should be age appropriate as a mum of 4. I'm here to uphold the rights for all groups and fight prejudice, fight discrimination. I spent decades doing casework for disability rights, for minority groups, for those people who are vulnerable.
Thank you.
This issue is very important when it comes to our community, and I know that as a youth worker who has worked with youth and their parents, I've heard these concerns by parents themselves. And what I would say about that is that parents should reserve the right to decide what happens with their children and what their children are also exposed to. And that is why I will support parents, because the state should not interfere with that at all. And parents should have a right to what their children are exposed to. Things should be age appropriate for children, and parents get to decide that at the end of the day, which is why I would support parents who decide to opt out of sexual education relationship classes. There should be a choice for parents to decide what they want to do, and we will support children and their well-being always. And I'm someone who stands against all forms of discrimination against all our communities. And as a Muslim Palestinian woman in activism, I've had to get used to facing racism and abuse. We will not accept racism, abuse, or any form of discrimination to any member of our community whatsoever.
Thank you.
We all have to live together, whether we agree, whether we disagree. That's something that we all have to do. Unfortunately, I mentioned before about this hostile environment. We have a government just now that on one hand tries to promote hatred, but it's the same government that's been in charge of the education system for the past 13 years and now tries to make out that it's in the sides of the parents. So we have to look at things properly. There's no room for hatred. There's no room for prejudice against anyone. However, we cannot have the state tell parents what they can believe and what they cannot believe. We cannot have the state telling young children what is right and what is wrong when it comes to issues of morality. We must all respect each other, there's no question about it. Sex education must be appropriate, and it must take into consideration people's religious values. We are not looking, and I will certainly not look for discrimination against any member of our community, no matter what their view is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next question. How will you ensure that you continue to engage as an MP after a successful elections? Many politicians are nowhere to be seen after the election. Start off. Yep.
This is an issue close to my heart. I've started this already, and I believe I will go on. So I believe in people-powered communities, and what that means is that residents are enabled to take part in decision-making. They take part in co-production and co-design of services. We know what the problems are. We know what we need. We actually have a good idea of the solutions. People-powered communities will have resident programs. As an MP, I will be ensuring that there are regular town halls, regular surgeries, regular citizens' assemblies, good feedback mechanisms. For all of you, I will be doing casework on a range of issues that matter to you. I'll be lobbying government, but also I'll be working together very closely with the council to ensure that you have your needs met. The issue here really is about ongoing working together, and as your MP, I will be making sure that I do the casework.
Ilford is my home, and that is why I will always support it and defend it, and I will always be here. And that is why I have decided to run for this position, because as your MP for Ilford North, I will make sure that all your views and your concerns are heard in Parliament. And I am someone who will be present, focusing on local, national, international issues at the same time. I will not prioritise one over another. And I will hold surgeries. I will listen to you. I am someone who will listen and act upon your concerns to make sure that they are heard in the highest levels of government as they deserve to. Because currently what we're seeing right now is that our constituency has never been more underrepresented. And we simply will not stay silent, and that is why we are here at the end of the day, because we refuse to stay silent, and we deserve to have our voices and our concerns heard. I am someone who will make sure that that happens, and as someone who has already spoken in Parliament on a number of various issues, having my voice heard in Parliament, that is exactly what I will continue to do to make sure that Ilford North sees its first ever independent candidate elected.
Being an MP is an honour. And if you're elected from the area that you actually live in, it's an even bigger honour. And if I am selected as an MP, there is absolutely no way I'm going to do what some other MPs have got done, go on Celebrity Big Brother, etc. I will represent Ilford. I will represent your thoughts. I will look at casework. I will have a strong team around me that will look at your concerns. So you can be assured 100% that if I'm elected MP, I'm not just going to go and disappear somewhere else. I will be working for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next question. Marwan, keep the mic with you. I'm going to start with you. Becoming a member of Parliament, especially in an election where you've defeated the shadow Home Secretary, is going to put you under a lot of scrutiny. How will you deal with that scrutiny, people pouring through your records, going perhaps through your bins? I don't know. Not giving anybody ideas, don't do that. But how will you deal with that scrutiny, especially at a national level when it's not Maz Patel from Islam Channel, it's going to be somebody else, probably not as sympathetic?
I think that's something that all three of us are aware of. If you do become a member of Parliament, there will be a lot of scrutiny. And some of it you're going to have to just ignore. You cannot expect everyone to be nice to you. There will be negative reporting. There will be people who are out simply to get you. If it's anything that they write down that's illegal, then they must be challenged. I think you have got to use common sense, rationality. Do not just jump at every single comment trying to brush it away. But also you've got to deliver yourself in a way that you are confident that what you're doing is the right thing. Stand up for what is right. And then if people come and attack you, then let it be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Noor.
This is a question that actually will affect all three of us. I agree, Marwan. In terms of dealing with scrutiny, so I would say that I live my life as an open book. My personal matters, my judicial matters, my financial, my work affairs are open and transparent. There will be criticism, there will be critique, there will be numerous views. I believe that I conduct myself with integrity. I will deal with any accusations, any scrutiny with a robust, positive response. I will go on the facts. I do not believe in mudslinging. Yes, there will be a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, a lot of prioritization is necessary. I believe in running a positive campaign, a campaign that will give people hope, and a campaign that will bring change. This is what we need in Ilford North. Change, and change now.
Thank you very much.
I'm someone who's already faced this all. From a very young age, since I was 15 years old, after winning the Redbridge Regional Jack Petchey Speak Out Challenge, I was subjected to a barrage of online abusive comments and videos referring to me as a Little Miss ISIS girl. And you've probably seen that story all over, viral, on Ilford Recorder, and nationally all over the country. They tried to shut me down. My video went viral. This was hijacked by online trolls who were out there to discredit me. And the only police advice I received was to shut my Twitter down and to stay quiet and to be silent about what's going on. And you can see from my resilience, I have not been silent. I have continued to shout louder about the plight of my people and the fight for justice. And that is exactly what I will do. As someone who is committed to fighting for justice wherever injustice may be. And that starts right here at home in Ilford. I am someone who is not afraid to speak up. I am someone who's already been through the worst possible abuse at such a young age, and to the point where now I am used to facing that racism and abuse as a Palestinian woman in activism, and it will continue. You cannot escape it, but you have to carry on because our fight is worth much more, and we know that we will win.
Thank you. Okay, now we've come towards 8 o'clock. The organisers have said to me that we can finish off with an extra question. So thank you so much for that. Ilford North is made up of many, many different constituent parts. We know Gaza has been an incredibly emotional issue for Muslims in Ilford North. They've set up this organisation, the RCAG, on the back of that. Yet they are very conscious that this is not just about Gaza. Whilst we all know and we all feel very strongly that what Israel is doing is wrong and they should be brought to task about that, there are others that have divergent opinions, especially in this constituency, which I alluded to earlier. So please, can you tell us, how do you intend to attract those who do not share your opinions on Gaza, yet want to represent you in Parliament? You want their vote so that you can represent them in Parliament. How will you attract them? And let's start off with you, Noor Jahan, because you did the last one.
This is really pertinent at this time. So you're absolutely right. Ilford North is a very diverse borough, and we have 8 wards that have varying compositions. The events in the Middle East, growing inequalities at home, they have caused anger, upset, tensions. We can't avoid that. We have to listen to people. How will I get people on board? So this movement, as an independent MP, I will be representing all residents, not just residents from a particular background. For people who are not Gaza is not their number one priority. We have to understand that there is alarm and concern after 13 years of austerity, that people are really worried about the cost of living crisis, people are worried about housing, they're worried about health, they're worried about crime and antisocial behavior, and I would say that whatever their views, we actually have a shared values and shared humanity. And this is where I will find common ground.
Thank you.
What I always say about Palestine is that it is not an ethnic or religious struggle. It is an anti-racist, anti-colonialist, humanitarian struggle, and that is a struggle that every human can and must support, and that will be my messaging in this campaign. But to those who don't believe in a free Palestine and who are not on our side when it comes to that, I am advocating for a fully public, fully funded NHS, whilst we have an MP who is currently trying to privatise it. And as someone who stands firm in advocating to protect our NHS and defend our public health services, I am someone who will use that to my advantage in standing as someone who will fight for healthcare for everyone, believing that it should be a human right and not a commodity. More importantly, I'm someone who stands for all local issues as well. By the working class, by the young people. I'm someone who's able to mobilise and win the young vote, because there are so many youth in our community who've not voted before, and it's so important that we get them on board in our campaign. That is exactly what I will be able to do as someone who's genuine and relatable. And at the last election, there was 20,000 people in Ilford North who were registered to vote but actually didn't. 20,000 votes is a huge number, and I am someone who has rallied different demographics in the past, and I will continue to do that and build relationships in the future to win those votes as well.
One thing that I think we have to be is realistic. If you are happy with the genocide that's going on in Palestine, you're unlikely to vote for myself, Noor Jahan or Leanne if we're the prospective parliamentary candidate, and I'm not going to try and convince you to vote for us if you are happy with the genocide. I think it's quite simple. I'm not going to water down my values or my beliefs to try and get some votes. If Palestine is not your number one issue, I can understand. You've got other issues as well. The health service, crime. There are plenty of other issues. We will not campaign on solely Palestine. However, once I am your MP, if I do become your MP, I will work for everybody. Anyone with concerns, I will look into it. It does not matter whether the person voted for me or did not vote for me. I will be the MP for everyone. So that's all I can say. Thank you.
I think whoever gets through, I think each of you will make an incredible candidate. I think RCAG have got their work cut out to hold you back. I think you're all raring to go. Now, the section we're on to right now is the vote. However, just to make things a little bit easier, I know you'll probably all need to rush off home. You've got childcare and there's also the dinner as well, which people need to have. What we would ask you to do is to put your ballot papers in the box as you leave. Habib's obviously just there. He'll give you the indication. Yeah, that's right. So you can vote for your preference as you leave and then put it into the box. So please do that. And do that so that others are not looking, because, you know, we want to keep this as independent as possible. Some people might do it. Now, before you go, people can stay at the end if you want to ask questions to the organisers. And with that, I'd like to, from me, Maspatel, say thank you so much for giving me the privilege of doing this. It's been an absolute honour. And I will ask Wasim Ahmed of RCAG to do the vote of thanks and close.
All right, Assalamu alaikum. Look, I just wanted to thank, as Maz did, all the candidates, all the volunteers today, and most of all you guys for turning up. I know it's difficult on a Sunday evening with Monday morning blues for work, unless you believe the Reed advert and you've got a different job. But anyway, that's another story. Look, for the sake of transparency, if you want to put your votes in there, we're happy to do a count now in front of people, because I know there's some people who are nervous about favoritism or whatever, but honestly, I promise you that's not the case. We've been very transparent throughout this process, and if people that we knew or who were on our campaign thought that the best thing for Ilford North was to put themselves forward, we said, Bismillah, why would we discourage it if they can represent Ilford North? So anyway, we will do that. So as soon as you've got your votes in, put them in the box. If you want to hang around, we can announce who the top two finish from your perspective. And then obviously the panel get together again tomorrow evening, as I mentioned. So yeah, let's do it, inshallah.
How is it? Well, you guys done really well. Well done.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Asif Scott. Asif Scott.
We'll come back on.
Yeah, sure.
So alhamdulillah, we have a result. And I just want to explain again that the purpose of today was for you guys to pick the top two out of the three, yeah? And then over the next day or so, the panel will sit down again, look at the entire process, and then if we need another interview with the two that have been selected, we'll do that. But within the next day or two, we'll have the candidate, the final candidate, yeah? Just to be clear. Marwan had 22 votes. Noor Jahan had 36. And Leanne had 46. So, look, alhamdulillah to all the candidates. And guys, I hope you realize that from tonight and the process so far, this is transparent. We've got no skin in the game. We just want to make sure that the best candidate is selected to oust West Streeting and this Labour Party, which is literally killing people as we speak, yeah? So, inshallah, over the next couple of days, look out on the groups. We'll make an announcement. We'll pick our PPC. And after that, honest to God, we need to rely on every single one of you, and each one of you needs to bring 10, 15, 20 friends to the calls. Bring your money, empty your bank accounts. The only way we're going to win this is if we're all united together and we've got one independent candidate in Ilford North, inshallah. So please remember us in your du'as, and Jazakallah khair for coming again. Assalamu alaikum.